was recorded here under the guidance of Bill Simzik. 461 Ocean Boulevard, Eric Clapton album, was done in the studio here too. And currently it's the studio that's being used by the Bee Gees, who are right in the middle now of recording their new LP. In fact, they've been working on it for several months, I'm told, and I've come down here to have a listen to it and to talk to them, and that's just about now what we're going to do. All right.
Hi.
Hi. The first thing I must do is congratulate you on your phenomenal success over the last 3 or 4 years.
Thank you, Bob.
And it's really emanated from Criteria Sound Studios.
That's right.
Yeah, great studio.
Now, you've been actually living here for, what, 18 months now?
Yeah.
Was Criteria the main reason that you came down to Miami?
Well, don't forget Robin hasn't moved here. Robin still lives in England. But we came here about 3.5 years ago to cut an album called Main Course with Reef Marden. And we more or less fell in love with the place, where we were staying, which is on Biscayne Bay, and now we own homes on Biscayne Bay. But before then, we were renting a place, and the weather, and it's a lot of things that a lot of reasons why we're here. Criteria is definitely one of them.
Mm. Yeah. What particular thing about the studio makes it so attractive?
It's cheap. No. Cheap it isn't.
No, apart from cheap, it's got a great atmosphere, and the acoustics are one of the key things about it. We've tried other studios while we've been working here, and they haven't worked out. We've ended up coming back. This is not a promotion. We don't have any reason to promote Criteria. We can only say how we feel when we're recording here, and we get the same reaction from other people that have recorded here, such as the Eagles have done a bit of recording here, and odds of people that have come down through the years have never had a bad word to say about Criteria.
So the relationship with the engineers here, Greg, Carl and Arnie, Albie rather.
Yeah.
Well, Arnie, if you like.
Arnie, if you like. Did that develop through the studio, or did you meet them
it
first
developed when our organisation left Atlantic, who were distributing. When RSL left Atlantic and went to Polygram, we lost to Reef Marden because he was the house producer at Atlantic Records, and we lost out on that. And we decided to continue ourselves and produce our own records. And Carl was technician on Main Course, or engineer, I should say. And he knew this other guy called Albie, who we'd also met before, and Albie came down to the studio the first day. We all sort of teamed up on that day, and we've never looked back. It was just, it's like a whole co-production deal. We all do it together. So.
Because one of the other things that's struck me over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years or so, is how prolific you've been as writers, producers, recording artists.
I think we're going through a very positive phase in our life. We're just very positive about everything we do.
Phase,
yeah.
Phase.
I think phrase is pretty good too. I like that.
He's great.
And I think there's no reason why that should cease. I think we've never felt as good as this in our lives, and whenever we want to write, we just write, and it all comes out. And we don't have any anxieties that stem any of that. Because, I mean, when you have troubles or problems, that seems to take away the ability to write good songs. When you don't have any problems, and everything around you and your family, everything is happy, that's when it seems to come. Yeah. I don't think you need to be sad to write
we
sad
still
songs.
have that in Miami. It's a very relaxed place, especially if you, well, after doing the film, for instance, coming back here, and it's very quiet, and it's nice and sunny, and you can relax, and we're fortunate enough to have boats and that, and we can go out and do some fishing, whatever, but most of all, because it's...
Or it's better out in the ocean?
I'm only a resident, so I can't vote. But the actual atmosphere of the place is very relaxing for us, because we create more, well, anything lyric-wise, music, everything here, we recreate, I should say, better here than we do anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because it is relaxed, the atmosphere is relaxed.
Yes.
And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Boys.
Yeah, quick, and we went in those periods, or in that sort of 67, 68, the Bee Gees weren't so much an entity on their own, they were manipulated. The business was what counted then. It still does today, but in those days it was the hype, and it was Marmalade and Grapefruit and all these people, and it was all manipulated by the businessmen, the managements, and they were in total control in those days. The artist didn't know what was going on, and just did everything he was told. And to the point where his private life went out the window. for fear of doing something that his management wouldn't be happy with, you know. And that's how we lived in those days. And now we're no longer manipulated, which is an amazing relief to us.
We have a lot of more freedom
Yeah.
in our sort of music. We had like the production side of it and things like that. We were limited.
Whatever we do is really our decision. Whatever we do, we just sit down and discuss with our manager Robert, and if we don't like what is happening, then he won't push it. It's that kind of thing.
It's more of a team thing now instead of always
it's an equality situation.
answering back or asking, is that okay, you know, or people releasing what records they felt they wanted to release. Like in America particularly, they used to release records off our albums that, like I started a joke they did, Holiday they did, just release them without us even knowing.
Waffling on.
You know, so
The pills are working.
now the actual atmosphere now is a four-man effort instead of a one-man effort, and those three saying, is it okay? And he says, it doesn't matter what you think. You know, it's now four.
Yes, I understand completely. In a wider sense, though, people tell me that American radio, for example, has channeled down slightly now, that the possibilities for new music surfacing on radio in America is not, there's not as much chance now as perhaps there was 4 or 5 years ago.
There isn't, no, because but what the advantage of radio is here, there's a lot more radio stations, and therefore you've got the FM radio stations which do cater for newer artists, although you don't get to the masses because AM radio caters for the masses. The AM stations, as you're well aware, have a much tighter playlist because they play the top 40. Some of them don't have a top 40, they have a top 25. WABC New York has a top 25, so it's much harder for new records to be added. You have to be in the top 10 nationally before you get added.
Right. Yeah.
And all these AM stations do cater for that sort of, and so new artists do get the benefit on FM at first, and sometimes then AM will, get surrounded by the FM, and then they'll go on it.
Right.
That's the only way, really, these days, a new artist can be heard.
Well, Pebble in the Pool.
Yeah, but you could get a flute record. I mean, the new artist could bring out a record, AM, that is suited down to the ground for AM, and it might be getting an immediate add-on, and sort of everybody will be playing it. Out of the box, yes. Screaming out of the box. These are records.
These are record expressions, of course.
You just mentioned the film.